Welcome to Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark. I'm just a normal girl who decided to go for it. I created a thriving business from the ground up without sacrificing my sanity, and I believe that you can do the same. You were created on purpose, for a purpose, and I fully believe you can turn that purpose into profit. Each week, I'm going to bring you practical advice to help you live your life and grow your business on purpose. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to another week of Purpose. I'm your host, Corie Clark, and today I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, KJ Blatenbauer. KJ is a business strategist and a publicist for entrepreneurs and influencers. So today we kind of dig into how important it is to either have a publicist or have some sort of plan for your publicity. And I'm so excited because for me as an entrepreneur and an influencer and a personal brand, I really never understood the value that she offered. And I knew she was amazing what she did, but I didn't realize that there were so many strategies that I can have in place to be seen and heard without having to fight the Facebook and Instagram algorithms. So I really want you guys to listen with an open mind because she shares some amazing tips on how to position yourself as an authority in your industry. Plus, she shares with us how we can create an entire year of content that will keep us in front of our customers at all times. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to my friend KJ. All right, you guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to my friend, KJ Blatenbauer. KJ is a business strategist and she's a publicity expert for entrepreneurs and influencers. So welcome, KJ.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Of course, I'm so excited to have you and to introduce you to my listeners because I just think you're amazing. So KJ and I met at an influencer sort of thing that like a brand building day with Jasmine Star, and we just hit it off, and now she's one of my dear friends, and I just feel like she has so much to offer people who are in the online space and trying to grow their businesses. So KJ, can you just share a little bit about how you got into like strategy and PR for entrepreneurs?
Sure. So I'm going to age myself a little bit, but I started almost 23 years ago in basic public relations. And I say basic public relations because you hear all the time about how PR is dead, but it really isn't. It's just evolved into more than just traditional public relations. So 23 years ago in college, I had a very, very minor course in public relations. I think maybe in my communications classes, we covered it for like a week. We didn't even get to what a press release was. And I thought, this is gonna be a great profession because it seems like all I'll be doing is laying at the pool with celebrities and having people bring me drinks. I don't need to work at all. I won't have to lift a finger. And from there, it kind of spun into internships with agencies, and then roles in agencies, and then roles in corporate America, just helping people promote and properly position their business. And what I love so much about it now that social media is in the mix of everything, everyone knows they have to promote their business. They know they need to shout it from rooftops what they're doing, but we're all under this, I'm shy, or I'm an introvert, or it feels kind of gross to put yourself out there. But what's great about public relations is that it's word of mouth and it's influencing people to promote on your behalf. So it doesn't feel icky.
Yeah.
You don't have to promote yourself or humble brag or, be the person that's super annoying to everyone else on LinkedIn. There are amazing ways you can do it with a purpose. And from there, just basically laying out your strategy. This is how I should talk about my business. This is how I should think about my brand. This is how I should get others to think about my brand. It's really morphed into strategy for me. I love looking at business as a whole and being like, okay, well, here's how you're perceived. Here's how you want to be perceived. Here's all the gaps in between. And here's all the ways you can apply money to that. And I love finding hidden ways to monetize what people are already doing or what they're passionate about.
I love that. And I love how you brought up like how they're perceived and how they want to be perceived, because it seems like, and I know just from my own experience, it's hard to get your message across like the way I feel like I want people to know me and see me and know what I do. And sometimes there's like a disconnect there. So is that super common with entrepreneurs and influencers?
Yeah, I'd say it's a problem that we all have. We all think that we look one way or we come across one way or that people are thinking about our brand one way, and it really is different. We're forced into thinking marketing wise, promotions wise, that we need to force everything on people. You need to think about your business this way. You need to talk about your business this way. This is what your target audience wants to hear. And not many people survey or ask or listen to what their target audience really wants to hear. So we all kind of fall into this trap of, here's what I think you should feel about me, but really they don't feel that way. They think you're icky. And I think that's just a lot of people, it goes back to basic communications. If I'm having a conversation with you, it's rude of me if I only talk about myself and I don't ask about you. But it's even more rude of me if I ask about you and then think about my lunch or what I want for dinner or what I'm going to shop. And then you ask me a question back to make sure I'm listening, and I deer in headlights, have nothing to say. So it's just like a good conversation. That's what public relations is.
Oh, I love that. And that's so true. And I've learned to really listen to what my audience is saying. And would that be is that a tip you would give someone if they're not sure if their messaging is right? Should they survey their audience?
Definitely, I think so, because if you're selling to an audience and you're not hitting the mark with them, you're selling to no one. So you're wasting money in Facebook ads, you're wasting your time, you're not selling your course, it's probably taking a shot on your self-esteem, because we've all been there. But if you take 2 seconds to survey them and be like, hey, when I say this, what does it make you think? Or when you see this, how does it make you feel? Or after you've interacted with my customer service, what would you recommend us to other people? Just asking simple questions like that gets people involved in the process and endears them to you, but it also helps you mine for gold on, oh crap, this is what people are thinking. They hate our socks, or they love these new designs, or these colors are not hitting the mark with people.
Yeah. Wow. That makes so much sense. That really does. So let's say if you when you bring on a new client and let's say they're new in the game, they don't really have their brand fully built yet. They have a small following. What are some of the first things that you need them to do to really set them up for really good PR?
There are certain things that you do, but I do the same things with people who are just starting out and people who have been in the industry for decades, because everyone needs to have the same 3 basic things to get started. And the first is an elevator speech. How do you want to be thought of, perceived, have people feel about you? How would you describe yourself or your brand when you walk into the room? So those 2-3 sentences that just describe you, that you can say over and over again, that clearly communicate who you are, who you serve, and what pain points you're going to address. So elevator speech, key. The other thing is kind of a spin on your elevator speech, and that's key messages. I make everyone work on key messages. What are the 3 or 4 things in every interview, in every blog post, in every promotion, even on your social media? What are those 3 or 4 things that you always want to mention every time? I always mention who I am. I always reference my upbringing, because I'm not from the big city. I'm not a fancy LA communications person. I'm from North Dakota. I have a weird accent. I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm proud. I think that I'm living proof you can come from the middle of nowhere and be the best at what you do. The other thing after your elevator pitch and your key messages is to really think about how you can come from a place of service. So whether you are selling jewelry or whether you are selling courses, you're doing it to help people, right? If you're selling jewelry, it's to make them feel more beautiful, or it's an everyday reminder of something special, or it's a token of affection from a loved one. Educate them on why they need that. Get in tune with their feelings. Talk to them in that manner. So it's deciding at least 5 ways throughout the year that you can think of pitch angles. So what are 5 different things you can talk about? You can talk about how to promote your jewelry for spring, how to take care of your treasured pieces, the point of how to dress yourself for a job interview, how much jewelry should you wear, all educational things depending on your target audience. Likewise, if you're a course creator, you could be thinking of pitch topics like that. What's the benefit of your course? Why do people need it? How can this help accountants be better at accounting? Whatever your course topic is. Mm-hmm. So really everyone needs to start out with 3 things, and that's elevator speech, key messages, and then at least 5 pitch angles, because those 5 pitch angles, that's half a year of pitching. If you even just pitch 1 thing a month, you're already doing more to promote yourself and staying on message and letting people know about you than sitting there doing nothing and waiting for people to come.
I really like that. I've never thought about the 5 pitch angles. It's like, I know them and have them in my head, but I don't have like a full on strategy behind them or when I want to use them throughout the year, unless there's part of like a planned promotion. Then of course I know what I'm going to be talking about. But when I am kind of in those in between, like in between launches, in between planner launches, in between like course launches, I feel like I'm kind of just like throwing things out there. Like, let's talk about this.
But let's talk about that, because everyone is like that. And that's the
Yeah.
importance of, that's why those pitch angles matter. That's why having a strategic publicity plan matters. So let's take the planners, for instance, because that hits home for you. And I'm a huge fan of your planners. So most people, I would assume, because that's how I operate, I either buy a planner in the middle of the year when it's June and July and I want to reset for like back to school or fall, or I usually buy at the beginning of the year because fresh starts, new planner, like there's something so great about a new planner. But now we're in March.
Yeah.
And I would assume that everyone was going to buy a planner in the beginning of the year, got their planner right away. They were ready to go January 1st. If they got it on January 5th, they felt late to the game. Okay, so now we're in the third month of the year. Everyone's given up on their New Year's resolution. Everyone's kind of frazzled. Everyone's sick of winter. It's all kind of blech.
Yeah.
But this would be a perfect time if you had laid out a plan. Like, your promotions for the year. You know when you're going to be selling calendars. You know all your ebbs and flows and high points and lulls. To be promoting things and positioning yourself and pitching yourself both in the press, on social media, in your blog, to tie people back to why they need to be purchasing a planner. What's good about it? You're in a lull, but if you had a plan, you're more motivated, just like with exercising. If you have a plan to re-energize yourself, you can start your exercising anytime. You don't have to be first of the year, new year, you knew you. And a planner can be that way too. Hey, it's March. How are you doing on your goals? Let's get back to business. Let's dive in. Let's spring forward. You could be doing all sorts of those promotions to get people re-energized to sell more planners and further position yourself as the expert in the space.
I love that. Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm getting like this like free PR strategy session with KJ because I truly do like, a lot of my story anyways, but it just kind of took off and I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I've had to learn as I go. And as much as I try to have a plan for the year, it really my focus is really on the launches and not necessarily on the in-between. And then I'm kind of like scrambling in those like March, April months and, oh, what do I talk about? And now I just I don't want to just keep going, oh, here, get a planner on clearance. Like that's boring. Like I still want to offer value to people no matter whether they have the planner or not. So I love that new thinking of finding some topics during those slower months to re-energize people and get them back on track and remind them January 1st is just another day.
Right. And I think it also helps when you have a plan like that. So say your big thing are launches. So if you start with a blank calendar and you pencil in all your launches there, or a blank planner, whatever you prefer, and you schedule all your launches in there, and then you work in all your promotions and backdate them from between, like this launch, and then I backdate to the first launch, and then, you work your way down, you're going to see all these holes in your schedule, or maybe you won't see any holes in your schedule. But when you find a hole in your schedule, then you can start positioning and placing PR opportunities or other promotions or things you can be doing to drive things forward. And you might see that less and less you're not discounting your planners because they're flying off the shelves. Or maybe it's time to introduce a freebie insert that would be great with people's planners. So if they either have a planner, they get the insert, they're on your email list, something like that. Or they want this insert, it makes sense. And now they should also buy a planner because they don't have one. You've just sold something off a freebie. So having that plan is great. Plus at the same time, you could be pitching the local media. Hey, it's March and people have fallen off the wagon, but they need to keep planning, whether it's business, personal, health and fitness, whatnot. I'd love to come on your show, your podcast, this TV segment, talk to you, hey, Orange County Register, what are you covering this time about planning and goals? Here's some simple tips. Because there's always something going on where people need a plan. Because everything you do, whether it's on your phone or whether it's in a paper planner, you're checking your schedule. Yeah. And there are so many topics that you could be hitting to promote your brand. But, it's easy for me to spout it off because this is what I do every day. Yeah. But I'm also a business owner, right? So, I'm trying to launch a dress line. It's something new for me. I'm not a fashion designer. I can't sew on a button. So like you, I get in the midst of things and I think, There's all the business side. There's all the fashion creating side. Oh my gosh, I still have to promote everything. And it's all very overwhelming. But I know if I can sit down, at least do the promotional plan, it helps, it provides so much comfort, and it's this huge weight off your shoulder to have this plan laid out. Like, I can't tell you how many people sit through a strategy session with me and are like, this was the best 4 hours of my life. Like, it was intense, but I feel like a huge weight's been lifted. I have a plan for the year, you know, and it really frees up time when you're not scrambling. It really reduces the stress. And yeah, there might be stress other places like taxes or production, but you know, to have your promotions and planning and communication all ironed out, it bleeds over into so many things, but it's perfect to have a plan. It's so good.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, I definitely need to work on that because I do have a promotional calendar and I do have a plan and I know when my launches are, but I've always looked at those in between times as, which doesn't make sense, but I see them as like, okay, that's like a time to just chill and let whatever happens. But that is like, so does not work if you're trying to run a business. So has to be a plan and an intention, even if it's not to sell anything, even if it's just to stay engaged, but to actually have a plan behind how you're engaging, you know, because it's easy to come up with content when I'm leading up to a promotion. Like, I know what I'm going to promote, so I know what I'm going to talk about. I know what, you know, it's easy. But then as soon as that promotion's over, like, I just got out of a lunch. So now I'm kind of like, I want to turn my brain off and take a nap for like a week.
Right, because you're exhausted, because launches are exhausting. But if you had content ready to go, scheduled out, you had a plan in place, that could all be prepared so you could be resting after a launch. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying put stuff together and then spit it out like a crazy squirrel, always be in launch mode, because that's so fight or flight, you'll be exhausted in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that, okay, it's a Sunday. I can batch 6 blog posts that I can then tie into probably 16 social media posts. Look at that. I just had 2 months done. You know, like, you can really, it frees up so much time, but it also helps move you forward. And it doesn't have to be sleazy, I'm always selling. You can still do the give, and then request. Mm-hmm. You can still work that out. Yeah. So I'm closing the doors on an event this Friday. And it's almost at capacity, so I'm not pushing it that hard. Like, my email list is getting hit with the normal close emails and time's running out and whatever. And I might post a few times on social media. But I'm still giving content like daylight savings. So I did a point in time, like, here's 5 tips to use that extra hour to boost your brand forward. Or St. Patrick's Day. Like, here's what St. Patrick's Day and all those crazy Irish sayings and green beer can teach us about PR. Like, things you wouldn't normally think are related. But I'm still giving content to my people. I'm still selling about other stuff, but I'm making sure there's other things scheduled in there where I don't have to lift a finger. So I'm always promoting from a place of service.
I love this. I'm like so excited to go look at my promotional calendar when we get off this call.
Good.
Amazing. Okay. So for someone who's like an entrepreneur like us or an influencer, what do you think, as far as PR goes, what is like an area that people are not trying to promote themselves enough where you think it's like, oh my gosh, they should be doing this. Why are they not doing this? Like, is it podcasting? Is it TV? Like, where do you think people are not tapping into that's such a gem?
I think people are spending way too much time on social media, and they're so worried about Instagram or Facebook and my audience there and when I should post and the numbers. I think they're wasting so much time. I think they have to get off that. Like, it's a thing to show up daily and post and be engaged and make sure you have a present. Like, I get that. I spend time there. It drives a lot of business for me. Get on a podcast. Mm-hmm. Promote yourself by being a guest poster somewhere else. Do a collaboration. Get out from behind your phone or the computer, host an event or partner on a shoot with other bloggers. But really what I'm trying to say is get really clear on your messaging and who you want to speak to and what you want them to know or say about your brand, and then start promoting yourself other places besides social media. There's so many ways to get free press that'll boost your brand, and you don't have to worry about an algorithm. Plus you'll have a third party, like I'm on this podcast. I love you. I'd be on your podcast anyway, but it helps me to be on this podcast. I get to share my expertise with people that aren't following me on Instagram, may have never heard of me, probably have not heard of my courses or offerings that I wouldn't normally get to interact with. But because they trust and love and adore you, as they should, and you have chosen to let me be a guest on this podcast, thank you, by the way, then that gives me a third-party seal of approval.
Yes.
You've given me a boost for my brand. Just like when I have a podcast one day, I want to have you on, and I'll give you a boost with my audience for you. So now if you think of like if you're on Fox or NBC or one of the local TV stations, you have that TV station vouching for how you're an expert. You know, if you're on another podcast, you're on that one. If you're on a guest blog, if you're a nutrition person with recipes and Dr. Oz says, come be on my blog and share your recipes, everyone in the world who's never heard of you but knows Dr. Oz and follows him like they're obsessed, they're going to know who you are. And you've just opened yourself up to huge fans. And the worst thing you can do in those situations, not have your website messaging on point, not have your service messaging on point, but man, you might have a great Instagram, which isn't going to help you sell things. So you have to have your messaging in order and then start putting yourself out there.
Yeah. I love that. We were just talking about something similar at our mastermind last week and talking about how at the top of like your modern day marketing funnel is just awareness. And because people, you know, they're not going to just randomly land on your website and buy something from you. They have to have like touch points with you, hear you on a podcast, and yes, see you on social media or see you on TV, whatever. They have to have some sort of awareness before they get down to that next layer of the funnel, which would be following you or signing up for your email list or something like that. But the base of it is like, your message. Like when they get to your website, are they just going to be like, who is this? This person is not, you know, I don't even know what they do. And they're just going to bounce.
Right. And the other part of that too, if you haven't built yourself as an expert, if you don't have those logos or you don't have a press page, which everyone should have, the logos of where they've appeared, because that's validation on your website, and a press page, which shows all the places you've appeared. Start building one today. If I'm spending thousands of dollars a month on Facebook ads to promote my course or promote one of my services or a consultation, and I'm saying that I'm the be all end all in something, and then you go to my website and you don't see anywhere else where that's been validated, it's just me preaching about how great I am. Well, that's just me preaching about how great I am. There is not a single human being who's going to buy from someone that says they're the expert in pottery if they get to your website and they, one, don't see any pottery pictures, but they also don't see you in Pottery Weekly or Potterist of the Month or whatever those articles are. You need that validation to back up that expertise. Otherwise, you're just throwing money at Facebook and you're not seeing any return on it. No one's going to buy your course. No one's going to listen to your stuff. No one's going to book your consultations. You have to have that third-party seal of approval.
So then that's what you do. You help your clients like pitch themselves to those magazines and that kind of stuff.
I do, but even better, I teach people like you, me, startup mom and pop shops, big name brands who've never thought of it. I teach them how to position and promote themselves so they don't need to hire a fancy PR firm or they don't need to hire a person like me. They can go do it themselves, whether it's me preparing the tools and sending you off, whether it's my PR 101 course that leads you through what PR is all the way to how you put things together and pitch yourself, or my mini pitching course that just shows you the proper way to pitch yourself. I position everyone to go do it themselves because I truly believe you can talk and think and promote yourself better than someone else can do it for you. And it's very easy once you boil down the steps.
Well, and we're not all celebrities with endless cash flow that need to hire someone to like help us look okay when we screw up, but which you're, I'm sure, amazing at as well. But true. Like I know a lot of my listeners are newer in business and they just might want to know, like, how do I pitch myself? I actually I've never even shared this with you, and it's a long story I'm not going to share, but I did have not a very good experience with a PR person. And I love that I could just take your course and learn how to do it myself. Because when we are at the beginning and we're bootstrapping and we're hustling, sometimes we can't afford to spend thousands of dollars on, a PR person. But we still need to be putting ourselves out there.
Right. And you need to position, whether you can afford to hire that PR person or not, you can. I mean, you might be so busy, you might need that person. You might get so big, you might need an extra person. It might be something you hate doing and you want to hand off. No fault whatsoever. But you should still know the basics of what PR is. So you can, one, not micromanage, but know what this person is doing and if they're doing the right things for you, but also know in your heart and your head, this is what's right for my brand. This is how we should be positioning ourselves. This is how we should be communicating. It's just like your taxes. You can do your own taxes yourself. You can get to a certain point. It might be great for a professional to check them at the end because nobody wants to get audited, but you don't go and hire the biggest CPA firm in the country or the person that does Julia Roberts taxes right out of the gate when you start your jewelry business, right? And the same thing can be about PR. You can learn the right way to do QuickBooks or hire an expert. You can learn the right way to do PR. You don't have to spend minimum $2,500 a month to have a publicist like me do it for you.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, it's good to at least know, because I probably wouldn't have had a bad experience had I actually known what somebody was supposed to be doing. Like, you know what I mean? There was such a disconnect where I didn't know what they should be doing. So I just trusted them to be doing what, and then realizing several months down the road, like absolutely nothing had been done. Mm-hmm. So it was like, okay, like at least if somebody gets this stuff from you and can understand it, and then yes, as they grow, when they're ready to hand it off, they know, like they'll know if the person's doing their job right or not.
Right. Because at the end of the day, your brand and your business, they're your baby. You care about them. That's tied into your livelihood. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. Look, there are great PR people. There are people that are not good, that shouldn't be in the profession. Every profession has the 2% that ruins it for the rest of them. But when it's your business, when you're trusting it, you should take the responsibility to know, hey, here's the right way and here's the wrong way. You don't have to be an expert in how to promote your brand, but you should know that these are the basics. This is how pitching works. This is how many times I should be pitching, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like I have learned so much. Oh my gosh. I love this so much. And I love all of this stuff. And I just feel like it's something that I don't, and I know a lot of other people don't tap into enough. And then it's just holding their business back. Mm-hmm. So instead of spending hours a day scrolling Instagram, they can spend 15 minutes on Instagram, and then they can go pitch themselves to like 5 different magazines or something. Use that time better. Amazing. Oh
Definitely.
My gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, now, do you have anything that like where my people can find you, and do you have like anything that you want to share with them?
Sure. So we'll do Find Me first. You can get free resources, tips and tools, and there's a new blog post with information every Monday at kjblatenbauer.com. And then you can also, Instagram is my jam, and that's where I spend most of my time. And I answer all of my direct messages, but it's at KJ Blatenbauer. I also get how overwhelming it can be to try and get started, to be promoting yourself under all the other business stuff you have. So right now, one of my freebies that I have for y'all is a calendar that it's not beautiful like your planner, but it's a calendar with literally 3,000 marketing holidays and content ideas for vlogs, blogs, social media, and your pitch angles. So you don't have analysis paralysis. There's always something, a marketing holiday, a new spin on something. Each month you can go month by month after downloading this freebie, and you can figure out what you should be pitching and promoting so you never run out of ideas for your business.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, so I will link that in my show notes, but you guys need to download that, because I'm like, I haven't even downloaded it. I'm the worst friend ever, because I've seen you talk about it, but I'm like, oh, I've got my promotional calendar. But now after talking to you, I'm like, I do not have my promotional calendar. So I am going to download that like as soon as we hang up. And so I'll have links to that, but you can find it on your website too.
Yep, you can find it on my website, or it's really simple. It's just bit.ly/pitch52.
Oh, okay. Pitch 52, because you get 52 weeks.
52 weeks of free content.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Okay. So I love to ask my interviewee a couple of questions. So since this podcast is called Purpose, I try to keep things kind of on the purpose, which this is very purposeful, because if you have a business and you have a purpose behind your pitching, then you're going to be seen by the world. So what is one piece of advice that you have for my listeners? So for that boss babe, and it can be any kind of business advice, pitch related or not.
It's kind of pitch related, but really it's just I guess, believing in yourself. The biggest thing I hear about people is, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to put myself out there. I'm shy. So my one piece of business advice is to put yourself out there and to start today. We are all so worried about how people are going to perceive us. We are also worried about failing and what it's going to make us look like, or getting our feelings hurt, or what if people don't like it, that we don't do anything, which is the worst thing we can do. You got to put yourself out there, position yourself how you want to be positioned, show up how you want to be seen, and don't worry about anything else. You're going to attract the right people. You might fail, but you're going to learn from it. It's going to be a lesson, but you need to put yourself out there today.
I love it. And I am like the biggest fan of just going for it. Mm-hmm. That is amazing. Great advice. Okay. So last question, what does living on purpose mean to you?
I recently turned 40, and I've always been go, 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 never stop and be in the moment or appreciate what's now. It's always what's next, what's next, what's the next thing. And I've really been trying to do everything with intention. So my goal for this year, living on purpose, to me, just means everything with intention. I'm showing up here today because it helps move my business forward, but I'm really showing up here today with the intention that you're my friend and I want to see you succeed, and I love, spending time with you and helping. But I want to make sure that everything I put out there business-wise, everything I do personally, everything charitable-wise, or when we give back, that I'm doing it with an intention. And it's an intention that brings positivity and more life to my life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think it's so important to combine, a lot of times people separate business and life, but for people like us that have our own business, you can't really separate it. You have to be intentional in all of it because it is so much of your life. And if you completely segregate your personal life from it, there's just I don't know, there's this disconnect there. And so if you can weave in that intention between your business and your personal life and how you're choosing to spend your days, and just really get aligned with your purpose, it just makes life so much more enjoyable.
Right. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything. There isn't a separation anymore.
Totally.
Everything coming at us. There's no separation between work and home. There just isn't, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, I love it. Well, KJ, thank you so much for being on my show. I cannot wait for my listeners to hear this interview. And you can find KJ on Instagram, on her website, and I will put all the links to all her amazing stuff and her free amazing calendar that you all better download immediately. I will have that all in the show notes. So thank you so much, KJ.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks so much for listening, you guys. That is going to wrap up this week's episode. So you can find all of KJ's info, the amazing freebie of the content calendar, all of that kind of stuff on the show notes at CorieClark.com/12. And don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes. That way you never miss a show. I have been doing bonus episodes every single Friday. So if you don't want to miss an episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, hop on over to Instagram, send me a DM or screenshot the episode and tag me in it and let me know that you're listening, because I love to interact with my audience. So Instagram is the best place to do that. You can find me on Instagram just at Corie Clark. I will see you guys right here next week on Purpose.